Internet slower. Okay. All right. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of One More Round, the Rocky Series podcast. I'm your host, Ryan. And with us again, or back, I should say, back with us again, is Katie from her vacation. How did that go, Katie? How was your time?
It was really fun. It was for a friend's 40th birthday party in Nashville. So a 3-day party, and it was fun, but I'm getting old for that kind of thing. But it was fun. And I missed you guys. So thank you. I'm glad to be back.
Well, we miss you too. As everyone knows who listens to the show, we had our special guest co-host Jared from 25 Hyper Guys Podcasting in Space. We appreciate him and his podcast, and he did a great job as always. He's a great guy, great voice on the radio, solid guy, but he was missed. And Kyle, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic. I'm podcasting upstairs because it's just me and my son here right now. So it's a guy's day, I guess.
Aw.
Oh, nice.
Cute.
Well, good. Well, good. Well, we got a guys movie to cover today. So just for some kitchen, what's it? House cleaning. I said, what is that? What housekeeping? There you go. For housekeeping on the podcast. If you're watching this on the YouTubes or wherever you see this, if you see this visually, you'll see that I'm in a different location. I'm currently deployed in Qatar. And all I'll say is I have a job here to do. That's all I can tell you. And I'm here for approximate whatever time is how I can tell you, and I'll be home when I'm home. So the point I'm trying to say is I'm almost like in a bunker, literally, kind of housing. So the internet's a little bit shoddy. So we do apologize for that if it's coming in a little shoddy. This is our first time recording with the internet here in Qatar. What else? I didn't bring the trivia book with me, so Rocky Trivia will be on hold for a little bit. We will be in Rocky 4 by the time we return to the trivia book, but it will be completed Rocky 3 during our Rocky 4 season. So yeah, I just bear with us as schedules might be a little bit different as well for releasing and uploading all that stuff because I'm busy here. Okay, so that's kind of the housekeeping out of the way.
But sometimes, a delayed release is not always the worst thing. You know what I mean?
That's what
sometimes you might enjoy the episode if it's a delayed release. Like the build up to it is important.
Yes. Thank you for that. Yes, we like delayed releases, Katie, right? Okay, so all right, without further ado, we do have a couple of emails, though, so no trivia, but we have a couple of emails. And before you read the emails, I do have a YouTube comment that I want to read. This was from Simon, our filmmaker, Simon. He commented on our YouTube regarding, we discussed during the episode 10 with Jared, we discussed the whole, Katie, you'll remember the outdoor sequences of all these characters that are outside. Like, are they real? Are these people... Oh, I think Kyle's he left us, but I'm sure he'll be back. Are all these characters type, are they real that we're seeing in the street? What are your thoughts on those characters, by the way, before I read this?
Well, that is a fun people watching experience through a movie. Definitely. It paints a very nice picture. And, isn't it Skid Row, which is, notoriously known for wild characters?
Yeah. My favorite guy is that voodoo guy who does that voodoo dance.
Yep. The snake. There's like a snake or I don't know on his
hat. It's like Egyptian or something like that.
Yeah,
that's right.
Reminds you of...
Yeah, it's an Egyptian. Okay, so here's what he had to say about that. He goes, often during, so remember, he's a filmmaker. So he goes, often during location shoots for documentaries and B camera / second unit films, the production places signs at each end of the block or distributes leaflets stating, quote, "We are filming on street such and such. If you're there between these dates, you give up your clearance to possibly appear on camera." And then he goes on to say, in contrast, in a more controlled environment with big stars or stunts, the production will block off the street and hire paid extras. Therefore, I suspect that the second unit was there days before Stallone filmed his arrival sequences or days after he had left, as there would have been big crowds and yelling if he was present.
That does make sense. And it just reminded me of, I have seen those signs, like, but for a less, not like a big movie, but like a restaurant. I'm going into a restaurant and they're filming something there. And so there will be a sign that says, yeah, we are filming blah, blah, blah here. You enter at your own risk, basically.
They, Brad Pitt, there was a movie with Brad Pitt that like filmed near my house once. He was like on the other street away from mine, and
Cool.
they're pretty good about you never seeing him. But it's like there's so much equipment. Like it's like 9 kind of Greyhound buses, like full of stuff that like took up the whole street.
Wow.
And it's like it's a big production. They really have no qualms about taking over an area.
Yeah, I lived on the street right next to the X-Men mansion. Xavier School of Mutants was filmed where I lived, like literally right next to our house was the actual Hatley Castle in Victoria. And yeah, so
Oh my.
I remember the film crew being there. Yeah. Yeah, I've been around a lot of shots have been done in Victoria. British Columbia is kind of a popular Bird on the Wire with Mel Gibson was filmed in Victoria. I think you guys talked about that, I think. Okay. All right. Well, I would like to welcome everyone who's joined us live. We've got a few people. Emails, Katie. I'm ready for those now.
Yes, we have one about episode 10 observation. Hey, y'all. While checking out episode 10, something stood out to me that was kind of funny. The scene was when Rocky, Polly, and Adrian are standing in Tough Gym, and Rocky says, "And they call me Punchy." The reason it was kind of funny to me was that I recently rewatched Rocky Balboa. In that film, the dog adopted from the pound is named Punchy. If you remember from that film, Rocky and Steps are at the pound and Rocky talks to Steps about naming a dog. After a couple of bad suggestions, Steps throws out the name Punchy, and that's the one Rocky goes with. So it's amusing to have watched that and then be reminded of this scene in Rocky 3. Anyway, keep up the great work, Michael.
And that's Michael from the Screen Nerds podcast, I believe it's called.
It was not in his signature in this
I
particular
forgot to write
email,
it down.
but that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was Michael from the Screeners podcast, faithful listener of the show, podcast host himself. Again, I always appreciate people that do a podcast when they listen to a podcast. It's always kind of flattering. I've said it before because they do their own show and they're willing to listen to yours, which is nice. Yes, thank you. And yeah, we'll definitely talk about the Punchy and that whole sequence and the dog adoption sequence for sure. And yeah, great Rocky lore connection between the films. I agree. Oh, okay. The next email. Oh, let's get to some of the comment as well. Sorry, I stepped on you there.
Oh, no, you're fine. The next one says, "Hello, Ryan. I've been meaning to write and finally got around to it. I cannot be too effusive in my praise for you and your shows. I first heard you as a guest on the Gladiator episode of the Retro Movie Roundtable. And being a lifelong fan of Stallone, I immediately went to both your Rocky and Rambo podcasts. I was instantly hooked. It's as if they were made just for me." That is high praise. Nicely done, Ryan.
Well, it's very sweet. Well, yeah, I'll comment at the
Victor. Yeah. Okay. So Victor, his name's Victor. He goes on to say, "I grew up in an Italian American family, and my dad was a huge Stallone fan. He passed away years ago, but whenever I watch one of Sly's films, it makes me think of him. I'm 52 years old, and I've seen every Rocky and Rambo in theaters. An early memory is the end of Rocky 2 and my older brother and his friend laughing when both Rocky and Apollo fall down. I still think it's a silly ending 40 plus years later, but I love it." I never thought it was silly, but I can see older boys. Yeah. He says, "I'm a mail carrier and I listen to podcasts as I deliver for hours a day. So I was overjoyed to discover your shows to make the time fly by, and I'm binging them at a high rate. I started with Rocky 3, the best one. Yes, I said it. And as I wait for new episodes, I am making my way through the Rambos. They're some of my favorite films and so quotable. I love the trivia and the minutia that you find in every scene. I too have seen them so many times that I find the little things to be so enjoyable. Everyone knows the famous quotes, but little ones like, 'No, leave it down. Never kept good time anyway,' are for true fans. If any of my kids or my wife drop something, I use that line, often followed by blank stares. I recently showed my 14-year-old son the first 2 Rambos, and it's one of the best things about being a father to be able to share these films with him. I'm watching Rocky 2 right now on Thanksgiving, an HBO marathon, and it inspired me to finally write and thank you for your effort and the love that you put into the shows. Please say hello to Kyle and Katie. You're a great team, and your Canadian accent is so pleasant and warm. I'm telling all my friends about the podcast, and I look forward to the future of anything you do. Sincerely, your newest and biggest fan, Victor from New York. That's awesome, Victor. Great email.
Yeah, it's very sweet. Very kind, Victor. Thank you so much. And do I have a Canadian accent? And Kyle's Canadian too, Victor. I don't know if you caught that in your listening. So Kyle is also a fellow Canadian. Katie's the American on our show.
You can tell that you guys are Canadian. You do say
Oh.
certain words differently.
When I came back to Canada after not being there for 2 years, I for sure noticed the accent. Like it was off-putting. Like how, because it was like my whole life, I figured we didn't have an accent because it was just all I knew.
Mhm.
And then when I heard, like, when it sounded foreign to me, but it's like a place where I grew up, it was kind of disturbing. But now I don't hear it anymore.
Mhm.
But,
No, that's
so in
fair.
other
That's
words,
fair.
yes, we do have accents.
Well, he's from New York. How do you say? Yeah, from New York. How do you say New York?
Ryan,
accent?
just don't.
New York.
Yeah, or you could do like the mob stuff. It's more from Jersey.
That's right.
This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take these letters, gonna deliver them. We're gonna throw them in the
Deliver
river.
these letters.
We're gonna
Oh,
say
that's
it's an accident. Shit
Bada
happens.
bing.
Bada bing, bada boom. Get out of here.
That's awesome. Yeah, so thank you, Victor. Keep listening. And a little plug here, Victor, if you want to keep listening to stuff, check out my other podcast called The Worst of the Best Podcast. It's called The Worst of the Best Podcast. Google that, and you'll get a bunch more of me if you want. And also the old school Going the Distance podcast on the last of the action of, sorry. So you might be listening on this to the standalone feed, which is probably what you're listening to. So listen, go look for the last of the action. What do we call this again? Last of the, boy, I'm tired. I'm sorry, guys. I'm still doing like time change here. The last of the action heroes. Thank you. Podcast network. Check it out. And there's a whole bunch of shows there. And I do other shows on there too with other hosts. So yeah, we appreciate your support is what I'm trying to say. So
Next
for your
time,
long
just read it
walks.
off the dummy card.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yeah, I know.
Also, I want to
Man,
plug
I'm
Worst
punchy.
of the Best because I listened
Oh, thank
because there was not a Rambo episode this morning, but there was a Worst of the Best. So I listened to your episode this morning, and it's always enjoyable.
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet of you. And yeah, if you're listening to this show and you listen to my Rambo coverage, yeah, same thing. There'll be some hiccups with timings due to my change. So that was the biggest hit. The Rambo recordings will even be harder to do because Dom's schedule and my schedule are going to be insane. He's a what do you call what's the mob boss version of a garbage collector? What do they call them again? Sanitation workers.
Sanitation worker. Yeah, I'm in the
So he's
business.
yeah, that's right. He's in the sanitation business. He's also Italian in New York. So he works hard, and the winter hours are crazy. So we're gonna have a fun time scheduling recording. So keep that in mind. If you listen to the Rambo show, that was going to be even more of a scheduling fiasco. Okay, well, that's it for the housekeeping and what have you. Let's roll into the movie. My goal is to get to the scene of where she says, Adrian has the big speech at the end there. So I think we can do it. This is what I call the failed training sequence. There we go. 1 second, guys. I've got it. Oh, I thought I had the video lined up, but I didn't. Stand by. Just totally professional. Oh, I do have it. Here we go.
Well, you know who this man is, don't you? Oh, yeah. It's going to be good work.
That's not the right one. This one. There we go. So right away, after they were at the tough gym, we cut to, we're showing leaky pipes. This is to indicate, of course, that this is a down and dirty training session. No more palatial gym. This is the opposite of a palatial house of ill repute. This is truly a gym of ill repute. It's got leaky pipes. It's grimy. It's dirty. It feels like it's underground. Is that sewer pipes above the ring that they got? Anyways, what I like too is we have this kind of a different version of Eye of the Tiger with no singing kind of playing in the background.
And it's very dark, like,
Right.
Again, to your point.
Yeah, it's more ghetto than Mickey's gym ever was.
On the toes. Come on, brother. You ain't too basic.
That's why we're here, Paulie. You waste of time. He's got heavy feet.
The Nike shoes.
Come on, relax, Rob.
The Nike shoes, and is Polly holding the boombox that's playing "Eye of the Tiger"?
See, you're taking the words out of my brain there, Katie. Totally agree. Are we led to believe that? Well, see, I don't know, because he's going to mention the type of music that's supposedly playing from the radio, and what we're hearing from "Eye of the Tiger." I don't know. Granted, tigers live in the jungle, but I don't think that's what Paul's referring to. Are animals?
I'm gonna say that Polly doesn't realize that it's a white guy singing the song and just presumes it's
Agreed.
so-called jungle junk music.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that Polly's boombox must be playing the "Eye of the Tiger" song. I think that song exists in the Rocky universe. I think that's where Apollo got the phrase from "Eye of the Tiger." That's what I'm going to go with.
The antenna
Okay,
is
so
up.
yeah, sorry.
So
Yeah,
it's on the
antenna's up there.
radio. It's not like a tape that they're playing either. It's literally a song playing from the radio.
Well, maybe the antenna is just always up.
Maybe.
Just in case you want to switch to radio, you don't have to mess with the antenna, but still.
See,
You
we're
don't
going
see
all over the
antennas
place here.
nowadays anymore. You know what I mean?
No. You don't need those anymore. Yeah, so the antenna's up. You're right. Good catch. So that is, I think we are led to believe that's because he's got it on the radio. But now that's the question: is the song this fake or weird version, no lyric version or singing version of "Eye of the Tiger" playing right now on his ghetto blaster that he's holding, which is a big thing back in the 80s when the people used to carry around their boom boxes. So is it that song that we're hearing, that we, the audience, hearing, that they're hearing? Is that the meta we're going for? Are they listening to maybe some other music? Because I always thought when we'll get to what he says here, and then we'll.
Come on, get those feet out of the concrete. Come on.
It'll take time, but it'll come. He can't train to the jungle junk music. Come on, relax, Rob.
Okay. Now is he okay? Is he calling like R&B, or is that what he's saying? Is it black music? Is he referring to black music?
Yes,
What is
Yeah.
he is.
Okay.
Yes,
definitely,
usually-
because it's rhythm. There's rhythm to it. Like that's the whole point. I think that the scene, he's trying to teach him to kind of like dance, get your footwork, have rhythm. Therefore, I think it could go either way. I don't think that what they're actually listening to is what we're hearing.
I agree. I've never thought until this actual recording. It never occurred to me it's the same song. So I think there's some other song playing on that radio. I think the idea is they're in Tough Gym, which is predominantly a black member gym. So the fact that whatever Paulie's holding is the music that these people that Paulie doesn't like are listening to, that music in the gym. That's the music they want to play in their gym. So he calls it. So because they're trying to dance, they're trying to move. The Rocky's trying to get this rhythm. So he's not good on his feet. So Apollo's trying to, give him some feet training, which is legit. And I love how Adrian, after Paulie's comment, it's because it's kind of a racially insensitive type comment. Even Adrian shakes her head like, "Oh, Paulie, geez," like she's embarrassed for him.
Yeah.
It's very subtle, but she does it. And I just think look at Talia Shire here. I think she looks so good. And there's a sequence here coming up too where she just looks so cute in this movie. I think, I don't know.
She did. Yes, you that must be a thing because you've mentioned it several times. I agree. She looks really nice.
I'm smitten by her.
Yeah.
Here we go. Come on.
And the ball's in your feet.
Balance.
Let your body find the
Let's
rhythm.
start a new dance called a brawl, huh? Come on.
I'm telling you, you can't train him like a colored fighter.
Oof.
Are you allowed to say that? I'm not sure. Is that something you can say still?
No.
Well, still, this is 1981.
Yeah,
I
80.
know whatever it is.
But I
82
think
or
even
whatever.
then, like the point is that Paulie would say that, but nobody, not in by 1980.
Yeah.
You should not be saying that.
Well, I think people were very comfortable saying that in 1980 because there's a lot of people who were racist in 1980. Not that people aren't racist now, but I think most people would have the social intelligence not to say that while surrounded by black people, especially black people who are trained fighters. So.
However, not that I'm trying to defend a racist, but Paulie sort of does have a point. Rocky, as a clumsy, big, just like ogre type white fighter, he doesn't have rhythm. And so
Agreed.
he's
No,
yeah,
he doesn't.
yeah.
No. Look, and that's kind of, again, it's a stereotype, but they kind of sometimes exist for a reason. There's a movie called White Men Can't Jump, and there's a movie
Mhm.
that's literally called that. And they could have like White Man Can't Dance. I can't dance. I have no rhythm. I can't move my feet or anything like that. So I would be Rocky. I would have Apollo
Mm.
training me that rhythm type movements and be able to move. Louise brings up a good question here. We should read it. He goes, I wonder if Apollo and Rocky had a conversation about wearing less clothes, or if that just happened organically.
Oh, Luis, good point. I actually was thinking because so Apollo is not the fighter in this movie, but I feel like Carl Weathers purposefully was like, can we work in some scenes where I look real good? Because he does look really good. So
Yeah.
he's like, I'm going to wear crop tops, shorty shorts.
Agreed. Totally agree. All right,
I wanted to
Bob.
make a comment
Yeah, please.
about the colored fighter thing. So in the early days of boxing, it was very much like a brute sport where guys would kind of go toe to toe and trade shots. And if I was a better podcaster, I remember his name, but it wasn't a black guy, but he basically revolutionized boxing, where like throwing the jab was kind of invented, and dodging punches and having rhythm. And he beat the first champion, John L. Sullivan, who is like the strongest guy, couldn't be beat. And that kind of created that. Others took that on later on.
Okay, there you go.
But even in like the 50s and stuff, like Rocky Marciano, he did not have good rhythm. And I think boxing still was very much a kind of a brute sport. I think Muhammad Ali changed a lot of that as well.
Good point.
Ain't got no rhythm.
Right? Come on. I'm stupid though. I love you. Look great. Look great. Everything we do works off the jet. Good. Yeah. Can he swim?
With a name like Rock?
No.
So it's weird that he asks, like, why didn't he just ask Rocky if you could swim? It's weird that Rocky's right there and he's already been talking to Rocky. He can't just say, hey, Rocky, how's your swimming? It's I know it's a movie ploy to get the joke out with a name like Rock, because Rocky wouldn't have said his own joke. Oh, with a name like Rock, what do you think? So it has to be Paulie that makes that joke, but it's just an odd, like, why Paul just asked Rocky, or the fact that they didn't go over the training schedule. Like, today we're going to do some dance rhythm or a rhythm foot movement. Then we're going to go to the pool. It's just like on the fly training. Like, oh yeah, let's figure out swimming. Or it just seems kind of on the fly. There's not a schedule. Anyways.
And they're the only people in the pool, which, first of all, I think places like Skid Row are notoriously known for like not having access to recreational pools. So I don't know where they're going, that they're the only people there as well. But
Right.
yeah.
So Rocky's in the pool. Sly's got his hair matted down just a bit, just enough, like, because he's got the worst poofy hair in Rocky 3. So it's nice to see it matted down a bit here.
The waist. Let's go. Another lap. Another lap. Move it. Another lap.
Ain't no two.
So he's doing it looks like, I guess, a butterfly swimming. Is that what that's called? The butterfly?
It's more like a breaststroke. Butterfly is like when your
Breaststroke.
arms come out top. Like
Oh, that's
this.
right. That's right.
Rocky
That's right,
probably
it's a
never
breaststroke.
learned how to swim. Like, I don't know. If you're a suburban kid, you probably did swimming lessons, right?
Oh,
But
yeah,
it's like,
I did.
I've met
I did.
people who are either like from farm kids, or kids who live in like the inner city. A lot of them don't know how to swim because they never grew up taking swimming lessons. And given Rocky's background, he probably never, like living in Philly like that, he probably never learned to swim at all.
No, he can like not drown. He can swim enough to not drown. So yeah, he's not doing the proper strokes or whatnot.
And they were saying another lap, so like he could have already been doing this for an hour, for all we know. Like, he could just be tired. It looks like he's already tired, so we just haven't. This wasn't him just jumping in. So I think he's tired, or as we're going to learn later, yes, his whole training here is lethargic. He's not really into it. Paulie makes a comment. He ain't no tuna. Do you remember when tuna was mentioned again in the Rocky films?
5. You can't
That's
tune
right.
a tune. You can't. What was it? It was a dad
What's
joke.
What's the difference between a fish and a piano? You can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish. I love it. I love it. It's a great dad joke.
Apollo's super sweet, like velour jumpsuit that's again Nike, but he's rocking he's got some great outfits in this movie. Love it.
And subtly, I agree. He looks fantastic. It's a prime Talia Shire. It's also prime. Well, I mean, he looks good in part 4 as well. But
Mhm.
Carl Weathers is like prime here. His
Yep.
physique, which we'll see later in the ring, it's outstanding. It's incredible. So Paulie, of course, being very negative throughout this training. We're going to hear Apollo's response to that, but subtly that's happened through all these sequences, which obviously our viewers have seen us 100, our listeners have seen us 100 times. But you see, Adrian is intently watching. She's not scrutinizing is the right word, but she's really paying attention to Rocky's demeanor. Like she's like something was off with this guy. But she's not saying anything. She's letting Rocky be Rocky, but she's quietly observing. That's what I find interesting. You got Paulie complaining. You got Apollo driving Rocky, and Adrian's quiet the whole time because she is actually knows that something kind of is going on here.
Good point.
We belong back in the gym.
Look, he's got a strength and used muscles he never thought he had. Come on, Rock. Come on, stretch now. Come on, move it, Rock, move it.
Nobody can change that much. He's a bruiser. He ain't no boxer.
You keep telling him that, and he'll be nothing.
So he's a bruiser. He ain't no boxer. So again, I guess we've talked about the Rocky style fighting is kind of like that. He can swat really hard and he can take punches. So that's the bruiser. He's not coordinated. He can't dance. His footwork is not very good. But I love Apollo here. He's being very patient with Paulie. What do you think?
Yes. And he's saying it nicely so far. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everyone's
he's
just
telling us-
tolerating
yeah.
Paulie. Like
Yeah,
Paulie's such an
Oh, sorry.
asshole this whole time. Oh, sorry, 1 second.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Where did our dishes go?
I don't know.
Where's the kid? Where's the
Where's
kid?
the
I don't
kid?
hear the kid.
He's right here.
Oh, hey,
Oh.
buddy.
Miles, do you want to wave to the TV?
Hi, Miles.
Could you say hello?
Hello.
Oh my God,
Oh.
how cute is he?
Now scram, beat it, yeah, get out of here.
Move your chicken ass.
Move your chicken ass out of here, kid. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah?
Another lap. Come on now. Move it. Move it. Come on, move it, Rock. Move it. Come on, let's go. Let's go. That's it. Stretch it. Stretch it out. That's it. Let's go. You got to pull hard now. Hard.
Okay, so yeah, I'd be curious to see if Sly could swim. I wish they did show us. I guess they do later with the non or the successful training sequence. Okay, so now we see Paulie. They're in this bad hotel. What's this hotel called again? I forget the name of this hotel that they checked into.
Yeah, what was it
again?
called?
Lorraine's or something like that.
I think in French it'd be L'Hôtel Cafard,
Ooh.
which
wow.
is the Roach Motel in
Uh,
English.
Well, either it's summertime, therefore really hot, and there's no AC, obviously, in this type of a hotel. Or like, does it not have sheets? Why does he have a
Yeah, so
newspaper
Paulie-
over him?
Well, we know that Paulie likes to read the paper, so he probably fell asleep reading the paper. To be fair, but it does appear like he's almost using it like a blanket, as some sort of cover. It's probably both. He probably fell asleep reading it, and or he uses it as a blanket because the sheets are so terrible. I think that's the idea. These sheets are so terrible. He won't. Even Paulie won't use a blanket. He'll use a newspaper.
Maybe it's there for cleanup later on.
So what did he bring his magazines? Did he bring his comics? I mean, did he bring his comics?
Now this
Okay,
is
but-
lower than this. Than what does he say? This is below human standards. But that comes
That's right.
later.
Okay, so there's some people chattering out in the alleyway, and I love how Paulie is literally one brother-in-law away from being one of those guys in the alley. He's lucky he has Rocky as a brother-in-law, or else he would be one of these guys outside the alley here. So let's check out this interaction he has with these neighbors of his.
Shut up, you stino bums! I'll squash you! There's decent people trying to sleep!
Okay.
This is
great.
odd. This one guy's in a suit and tie,
Oh yeah.
and he's hanging out with this other dude. So it's this white dude in a suit and tie with this black dude who honestly looks not homeless. Like he looks like
Mhm.
a normal. He's wearing jeans and a t-shirt, but he's
I
kind
don't know
of
if they're
plumper.
necessarily homeless. Maybe just they're just having a little
Yeah,
get
I think
together
they're
in the alley
partying
around the
on, man, and
garbage.
they're having a good time, and maybe they're doing some stuff back there that's a little X-rated. I don't know, but uh, yeah, this is like
I love it.
nowadays you'd have people who are more obviously homeless. Like even the
Mhm.
'80s, it's like people, even our homeless people were better back then.
That's right. Homeless people were better back then. I think there's
But
one of these
Polly's a
people. Well, go ahead, Katie.
Polly's a decent person, and these people are not decent people. But he's a honky scum bastard mother.
I love that. That's great PG-13
Mhm.
or PG, sorry, swearing. Shut up, you honky scum bastard mother. I don't think in the history of the world this insult has ever been hurled at again or since. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
that's such an odd combination. Kyle, you should have made your title that honky scum bastard mother.
I should have. I never actually knew exactly what he said. Like I always picked
Mhm.
out the honky part, where it's like, "Shut up, you honky scum!" Like I
Do you
don't
know
even
why we're
know.
called honkies? Do we know what the origin of that for white people?
I don't know.
Mm-mm.
Well, you
But
know why
there's
we're
one
called
thing for
cracker,
sure: we
right?
can't make it sound cool. Like there's no
No, but you
way.
know,
Like
I
black
know the
people have done
origin
a
of
great job
cracker.
with the N word. They've made it sound really cool, but we can't do that with honky. Like, we
I
haven't
wonder if
figured
it
out a
has
way.
I don't know, but I'm wondering if it has something to do with, like, music, like country type country,
Like
honky
honky
tonk.
tonk.
Yeah.
Well, maybe, yeah, maybe somebody can Google the origin of honky. But you know what cracker comes from, right?
It's white?
No, everyone thinks it's because of soda cracker. It's because of the whip crack, the whips when they're slaves, the crack of the whip. We're the
What?
ones, yeah,
Oh,
we're the ones that
not a
cracked.
oh.
I know a lot of people think it's because of the soda cracker, like a sodium cracker's
Ah,
white, but it's because
yeah.
we were owners of slaves and we cracked the whip. That's where the term crack the whip.
Dude,
Yeah.
I never knew
So we're
that.
yeah. Good heritage to hang on to.
Yeah,
Okay.
super great. Also, I
Yeah,
know you guys have talked about it, but remind us what a
please.
sternobum is. What does
Well,
sterno mean?
Kyle's the expert on Sternobom. I think he's the one that shared it on Going the Distance. Do you remember, Kyle?
Sterno is a cheap booze. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I believe like a fortified wine. I'd have to look it up again. I
Okay,
was
that
just
makes
in the
sense.
middle of looking up the origin of the word
Honky.
honky.
What did I tell you?
So they're not like 100% sure where it came from. It
Oh,
says so they did. You talk about honky tonk is like a particular type of country music. It says honky
right.
may have come from coal miners in Oak Hill, West Virginia. The miners were segregated, blacks in one section, English speaking whites in another. Foreigners who could not speak English, mostly whites, were separated from both groups in an area known as Hunk Hill. And
Mm.
these male laborers were known as hunkies, which may have just changed to honkies.
Hmm.
It says the term may have begun in the meatpacking plants of Chicago. According to Robert Hendrickson, author of Encyclopedia of Word and Phrases and Origins, black workers in Chicago meatpacking plants picked up the term from white workers and began applying it indiscriminately to all whites. So,
Hmm.
How dare they?
uh,
How dare they? I want my reparations. All right. So, all right. Oh, and Sterno, yeah, you're right, Kyle. I believe it's just a brand or, yeah, of alcohol.
Who needs this sick place? I don't.
I don't either, Polly.
Yeah.
you're totally
Nope.
not needed at all, Polly. Like your presence here is technically for moral support, I guess.
But
Maybe running the occasional errand, but you're basically doing the opposite. You're just shit talking everyone who's trying to train him and being an obnoxious asshole. He does seem to stay sober though. Like you don't see him like stumbling around, but
it's true.
Right.
yeah, I could have seen Apollo maybe have been like, "Hey, do we have to bring him?"
He's a hanger on.
Yeah,
Now, I love these sequences in the films. We've mentioned this before. It happened in Rocky 2 when Mickey and Rocky were watching the fight of Rocky 1. Now in Rocky 3, we have Apollo and Rocky and Tony reviewing the film footage of Rocky's failed fight. But I love how they're watching the film. What they're seeing on screen are the film shots, not what, like, because there's literally cameras in the ring. There's shots that we're going to see that they're watching where this is what the audience sees at home. They should be watching actual fight footage. It should be the
Mhm.
TSN or HBO footage outside the ring, the proper no boxing is filmed this way for audience members to watch, but they're just watching Rocky 3 film. And I guess I don't know if a smarter not filmmaker, I shouldn't say that but too bad they didn't do some sort of B-roll footage of just some of these sequences, like have a second camera filming the fights outside the ring. So when they get to this scene, that would have been really cool to see the audience version of this fight. But what we're actually seeing is, so keep that in mind when you watch this. They're just like, they're seeing this, but don't they like look at each other? Boy, how do they get that camera in the ring? There's no mention of the amazing, the close-up versions of these fights. So, when we're watching, Kyle, before you go, so when you're watching this, just keep that in mind, and then we'll play through the whole sequence of what they say, what Rocky has to do.
I find what they say very interesting and also confusing.
We'll talk about that. So here we go. They're watching the footage. Keep it in mind, they're watching Rocky 3. Hey, remember that scene from 20 minutes ago? Well, here it is again.
Damn, that club is strong. 15 rounds is a long time.
We got to put him away early. Figure with the pace we got to set, Rock can last maybe 7 or 8 rounds. Then we'll be out of steam, huh? Got to put him away early.
Okay. Thoughts on the strategy there, Kyle? What's your thoughts on Apollo's strategy?
Bizarre. Very, very bizarre. Okay, so from what I interpret, what they're saying is Clubber is very strong, true, and that at the pace they're going to set Rocky at, Rocky is going to be the one that runs out of gas first, not Clubber. Clubber is assumed to be able to last 15 rounds, and Apollo's saying Rocky will run out of gas in 7 or 8 rounds, and he's going to get knocked out. Which, funny enough, in the Rumble in the Jungle fight, it went 8 rounds. Now, Mick's strategy was wear Clubber down. He's never gone this many rounds before. So I would have thought their strategy would be let Clubber punch himself out over several rounds and then take him out in like the 8th round or 10th round or whatever. Like, I find it very odd that their strategy is to put Clubber away early. So you're going to go against this power fighter who is at his best in the early rounds, and you're going to say, we got to go at this guy hard in order to take him out early. It seems like a really backward strategy.
Although I think we're supposed to take from it, because he points out, damn, that Clubber is strong, meaning Rocky being able to take a lot of punches to wear the puncher out won't work with Clubber, because Rocky can't take all those punches from someone like Clubber.
Well, I think that the whole point of their training, though, is to make make Rocky more elusive and change his style so who's no longer the guy taking punches.
True. That's true.
Okay. I don't really have any other comments about that. I agree with your concerns about that. I think they're just led to the idea that I think the whole point of that sequence was just to tell the audience, because it is the shortest fight in the Rocky franchise for the final fight by far. And I think they're just trying to show you that we've done a lot in this film so far, and it's going to be a second fight. It's the first time in the franchise we've had 2 fights. So we're going to go short, and it's going to be a short sequence at the end. It's a very short fight. I think it's just to let us know that Rocky's going to come in hard, take this guy out in 3 rounds or whatever it was. Okay, so now they're... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, well, yeah, I was just going to say, I think they have to explain that, or people are going to be wondering, why is this fight so short, right? Like, they have to almost explain, like you said, in advance, because it really doesn't make sense why it should be short. It should technically, from a fighting perspective, be a long fight. From a filming perspective, you already had a fight and you already had a bunch of this stuff. Like, you can't have a 15-round fight unless you kind of do what you did in Rocky 1 and like you go from round 2 to round 11 or 12 or around 14 pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. There's 3 fights in this movie, technically.
Oh, yeah. The wrestling match. My apologies. The charity match. Okay, so now
4, because
what?
There's
fight on the beach?
No, there's the wrestling match, 2 fights, and then the favor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then 5, because they have the argument on the beach. Oh boy, you're right. There's 4 fights. It's so funny. Maybe that's why Victor, this is his favorite Rocky film. I love it. There are some people who have Rocky 3 as their favorite film
Yeah, I know
of
someone.
the franchise. There you
Mhm.
go. Yeah. All right. So okay, so they're in their hotel, and of course Sly's looking very handsome here with his
Mhm.
shirtless body, and it's probably his top physique that he's ever had was this. Because Rocky 4 was great, but it was so bulky and defined. It was almost too much. But I think this is the perfect balance look here. Okay,
He
so
doesn't have his necklace on though. Did you guys notice? Like for some reason.
he might have just had a shower. Some people don't shower with their jewelry. Maybe I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe. But he also knows he's going to have coitus with Adrian. I love how Rocky's, he's looking kind of like forlorn, but he'll still have coitus. Because there's a scene coming up here where Adrian is, we get a little bit. Sorry, I already took the screen capture. I was going to share it on Twitter and on her Facebook page because it's Adrian in her slip or her nightgown. And we see a little bit of Adrian, cleavage, which I think is fantastic. Talia Shire has a great. Yes,
okay.
You have to pause it. You see some actual like PG-13 French teacher boobage.
That's the most revealing she's ever gonna. Even when she's in a nightgown, it's still pretty covered up.
But I think
of like the 1800s where like guys are beating off over like women's ankles and stuff because they're always so covered up, and like Adrian's covered up so much that if you see like the top of her chest, you're like,
well, you'll see the blouse and how much it actually reveals of Talia Shire's skin. I'm not trying to be like, it's just she's a very sexy, beautiful woman. This is the most look, let's be fair, Katie, you get to see all the skin of Sly all the time.
Yeah.
Like, you okay.
Yeah.
There you go. This is my chance to see some skin on Talia. And she has a beautiful body and figure. It's just too bad the clothes they wore back then, we don't see any kind of like shape. This is the most shape you'll see.
Well, I think it's because they're purposefully, I mean, I've said it before, like Adrian doesn't dress sexy. And I think they don't want us to sexualize her. She's too above that, like she's Adrian. She's like the Virgin Mary sort of,
Challenge accepted. Challenge accepted.
Do you think maybe this is the real reason why Rocky's not training well? Is his legs are weak because he's obeying the old school pre-fight rules?
I wonder if they might not be having coitus for that purpose at the very least. But I love how Adrian, she's so cute here because she's trying to be cheerful and pleasant and break through Rocky's without her saying, Rocky, what's your problem? Mm-hmm. Or she does later because when he finally just like, but she's trying to get him to open up, to speak, to say something because he's in his head here. So she's cute here. I love the sequence. I'll see if I can pause it accordingly. If not, I've got the screenshot ready to go after, so don't worry about this.
At least the water's hot. Oh, we never really had a honeymoon.
I guess a little bit.
Yeah, look how deep we go there.
That is the most revealing we will ever see Adrian. Yeah.
And this is actually the screenshot I took, but look how pretty she really looks here with her hair wet and that smile and her makeup still on with the dark eyeshadow. I'm smitten. When I had this pause, I realized, boy, she looks really great here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
You got to keep that saved on your phone for later.
It's on my computer. I got the screenshot. I'm going to share it with the world so everyone can do with it as they wish. Okay.
It is probably a little lonely over there right now. You're away from home, and
yeah, I'm in Qatar, so yeah.
Right, you could tell Ryan's gotten a lot thirstier since he's been in Qatar, away from his family, and now Adrian's looking.
But doesn't she look good?
Than usual. Oh, she does. She does. But
okay,
I'm just saying. I think
she's a little bit healthier up top than I imagined. It was just nice. Anyway,
healthier up top. I've never heard someone say that. Also, I've always thought this was really cute too. She's trying, yes, to your point, Ryan, and we never really had a honeymoon. At least the water's hot. Please, like you've traveled the world with your millionaire and you've stayed in some palatial hotels. So please, like we never.
Yeah, this never really had a honeymoon comment. Doesn't hold water at all.
I think they're saying like right when they got married. The idea is when they were first married, they had no money. That's all.
No, of course. But to her point, like this is after they've stayed in really nice hotels. So to be
Yeah.
away from home in a shit hotel is not like honeymoon-esque at all.
Well, it's Adrian being positive, which we haven't seen a ton of. Like Adrian is mostly just kind of grumpy in Rocky 2 because she was conflicted about him going back in the
Right.
ring. And then when she was okay with it, you don't really see her a whole lot after that. And then in the first film, she was really reserved, but then she like kind of showed her sense of humor by making like that joke about Butkus eating little turtles and stuff. Like you see a flash of her being happy, but you don't like in the first two films, you don't see Adrian happy that much. And here, like she's really happy and positive. Like, it's almost kind of weird, but it's also nice to see too.
Yeah.
Couple good comments here from our live watchers from Alistair. He says, when Rocky's in the bathroom staring in the mirror and hearing Apollo shout, "There is no tomorrow," is this a recording that Rocky's playing back to psych himself up to show Adrian a good time? No, that's a good question. I doubt it, though. And then he goes on to say, Rocky has just been beaten up by Clubber and his confidence is at all-time low. That's true. And that might affect his libido. And now Adrian is heaping pressure on him to perform in bed by saying the hotel's not that bad and they never really had a honeymoon. So is she trying to sweeten them up? Is she really trying to sweeten them up, or she just? I don't think it's a sexual thing. I think it's kind of funny what Alistair's saying, but I actually think she's just trying to be pleasant and cheerful and bubbly to get Rocky out of his funk. I don't think it's to get coitus. Louise brings up a good point too. Of course, he goes, totally agree about Talia. I've noticed the momentary cleavage for years and years. He said, "Oh, good man, Louise. That's right. Yeah, it's fantastic. She looks. I mean, yeah, she's fantastic. Okay,
It's not so bad. Oh, you've been in worse places.
yeah, their first apartment by
Mhm.
far. So I love that though, how Rocky's just not even, she's talking to him. He ain't listening at all. He doesn't even change his face. He moves. He actually kind of looks away because now we're seeing what's in his head. So we as the audience, I love that musical score change, that kind of
Mhm.
scary, you can feel the tension rise, that musical score change. And now we're going to see what's playing, so to speak, as an audience member in his head here.
It's Eye of the Tiger as well. The song.
Yeah, it's a creepy version, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just yeah.
Right.
Corner, Rocky's in trouble. Oh, he's got him. He takes the right, a little right. He's been cut. Rocky's been cut.
Okay, hold on.
Sorry, it wasn't that sequence. Yeah, it's coming up later. My bad. I got ahead of myself.
So
but yeah,
I was just thinking. Now he could have heard the audio commentary by rewatching the fight, but assuming he doesn't, maybe he's like me. Like I don't watch or listen to these podcasts after they're recorded. He never heard any of that.
good point.
Like
So if we're
Rocky,
talking about if it's in his head, yeah.
and plus,
That's
I
right.
also
So did he
don't
watch
think
the fight? Yeah.
it says Rocky's been cut. Rocky's been cut. I don't think we heard that in the fight.
I'd have to go back. The good call.
We maybe
Yeah.
didn't. It was just footage they have. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not bothered by the announcer. That's for our benefit, like reminding us what happened.
But it is showing, at the very least, is showing that the fight, the loss, is in his head. He can't get it out of his head. Okay, so now we're back to training again. They're in the gym again, and they're in the ring. This is where Katie gets to see more men meet again. This is viewing. See, we got to see Adrian's meet. Now we're going to see Apollo's.
3
meet.
is the best for.
Yeah.
Well, 4 is really good because Drago, but anyway,
Yeah, I know.
3 and,
See,
3 and 4 are really good.
Me and Louise get one night slip for 5 movies of Toledo, and you get all these films of shirtless men.
Again, that's why
Hey,
I
guy.
think it's
Hey,
so
we
weird.
got the Thunderlips cheerleaders,
Yes,
and
there
we
you
got the
go.
Playboy pinball machine cartoon
That's
boobs.
good
so-
point.
Yeah, Rocky 3 is the most boobalicious of the Rockies. Minus, of course, Rocky 5's drawing by Rocky's son.
Oh yeah, yeah. But again, I don't know why more women don't watch this. It's the best eye
Yeah.
candy. Mhm.
It's if you're gay or a straight female, I can't imagine you would not enjoy seeing this on screen. You know, even as a straight male, it's aesthetically pleasing to see men look good. They look fantastic, of course.
Come on now. Let's go. You gotta get tougher. You gotta get tougher. Think smooth, bounce.
So this is the exercise sequence or training sequence where he's bouncing a little ball, kind of squatting his body over. Do we know what this is or what this is for? This kind of training?
I think this is not a real training that people do. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I think the purpose of the ball bouncing is to get the rhythm in his hands. Like you had to keep that ball at a specific rhythm and quick and like you know what I mean? And focus on something like your reflexes. Like his reflexes and rhythm and speed are what he's gonna need to avoid punches. Like Muhammad Ali had really poor defense, textbook defense. Like he didn't keep his hands up. His hands were down, which is a big no-no in traditional boxing. But you could see like compilations of him where people are punching him and he's just moving his head back this way, that way. Like his reflexes were so good that it was like incredibly difficult to actually land on him. And I think that's kind of what they're going at, like trying to improve Rocky's timing, trying to improve his rhythm, trying to improve his reflexes. And I feel bad because Rocky, if he would be naturally good at anything here, it would be the ball bouncing because he's always bouncing that ball of his in the previous film.
Really good
And
point.
now he's doing this ball bouncing and it's not working. So obviously something's very wrong.
The hand-eye coordination.
So he's gone civilized.
Yeah. It's a great outfit too. The cut of the shirt underneath, like a cut up sweatshirt. It's like a ridiculous outfit, but it's great.
Well, they made when you look like these men, you can wear anything. That's the lucky for that. That's my problem. I don't have that shape, so these guys can make anything look good when they put it on.
That's true.
You got the Riz though, Ryan, so you're good.
On your toes.
Ooh. Did you guys see the look Tony gives Apollo?
Yeah, so Tony's this is not his first rodeo. He recognized, even though Apollo was the lead trainer, Tony's kind of, it's interesting that Tony's kind of taking the back seat, working with Apollo, but he's letting Apollo lead the training. But Tony looks at Apollo like, ooh, what is going on with your guy here? This is not working. Something's going on here.
And Tony has always respected Rocky as a fighter. Ever since he saw Rocky punch meat on TV in the first film, and ever since he saw Rocky knock Apollo down, Tony has recognized Rocky's prowess as a fighter and stuff. So I don't think Tony thinks Rocky is a crap fighter and can't train. But I think even like if Tony's saying something's wrong, then something is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like he knows like either this approach isn't working or like the strategy isn't good or like Rocky's messed up in the head. Either way, like something's gotta give or this is gonna be a disaster.
I will say if I'm Rocky, the way that we're shown, I mean, earlier, like he wanted all of the attention and it was a big crowd and he's the champion. But now that he doesn't feel confident, I'm very much feeling like he's like a caged animal, like we talked about Clubber before, because he's got like 4 people just like intensely watching him train. His wife, Adrian probably never watched him train before. Like they're just all staring at him kind of effing up.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Like even though Rocky is like a pro athlete, should kind of be used to people looking at him. I think yeah, it is hard. Like I hate that. I hate it when I'm trying to do something and people are looking at me and people are yelling stuff at me while I'm trying to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That makes me it sabotages me.
Mm-hmm.
Like some people might do better, especially if they're used to that. But like if you're not used to that, especially, it sucks. And I think if you're already in your head, yeah, it just makes a bad situation worse.
Yeah, I always perform terribly when I'm being watched. So
no videos are going to be coming out.
Oh man, I don't know how those adult stars do it. I don't get it. Crew, cameras.
Ryan, you have to edit this part out.
Oh no, be careful. We're still live. Who
can hear? Okay. Being a male star in that industry, I saw this documentary on it, is incredibly difficult. Like there's tons of guys who want to do it, but almost all of them, once they're on set and have to do it, cannot perform, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is, yeah, having a camera crew around you, being watched doing that does stuff to you.
As it probably should.
Yeah.
It's not natural.
Luis, I like your comment about Why isn't Adrian out shopping or having a nice lunch in Beverly Hills? Yeah. Well, because she's not Kardashian-y. She's about Boa.
That's right. Alistair also brought up a great compliment for Kyle. Kyle's boxing knowledge is brilliant. Love how he references the boxers from history that would have been the inspirations for the boxers in the Rocky movies. That's the only reason why he stays on the show. Other than that, we'd have to fire him. No, yeah, he's
true.
Yeah, no, you guys are great. I couldn't do the show without you.
Let's move it, Rock. Move it now. Come on, Rock. Come on. Have fun with it. Have fun with it. That's it. Easy, easy, easy.
So there is a side glance there that Rocky gives Adrian. That's just kind of the first eye contact we've seen that Rocky gives Adrian, where he's like, ugh, and she's looking back at him. So there is some sort of acknowledgement by Rocky to Adrian that he's not feeling it. And again, Paulie's holding that stereo. He's the music guy.
Sly almost has sometimes on his face a very vulnerable, almost childlike look when something's wrong.
Mhm.
And I noticed that kind of when he was in the first film, when he's like, I always said that stuff didn't bother me. Like, well, it did. And like when he looked at her, he looks very vulnerable. Like you could see, this is good on Sly's part for like good acting there, but like he really does present like someone who is hurt and someone who is like messed up inside.
It's
Further
almost like
evidence
Sly's
about
a good
Rocky
actor.
3. Yeah. Yeah. Again,
Yeah,
like we've talked about him
exactly.
quite a bit in Rocky 3 being really good.
It is good.
Mhm.
It's maybe that's why Victor loves this film. It's one of his favorite films because I think we often forget that Sly is a good actor given the right script, and often when he's directing himself, when he's in charge of the film, yeah, he can act this character to like no tomorrow. I mean, he got nominated again for an Oscar playing in Creed, so he knows this character, but he's a good actor, and I think this film has so much of the eye of the tiger. The rest of we talked about this yet that it gets sometimes we forget that the acting of Sly in this film. That's probably the biggest revelation I've had watching this film again with you guys is this might be the undervalued acting sequences of Sly's that quiet acting, especially they showcase in First Blood, which also came out this time. So it
Mhm.
shows you that the more the quiet, subdued Sly, but how much acting is in the face, like how it's the face, that emotive acting. It's a real acting. You can't just do nothing when you emote. That in itself is acting. That silent acting.
Don't push it. Don't push it. Let it come. It'll come.
That's what she says.
Just takes time, baby. Just takes time. Move your head. Move your head. Move your head. Up and down. Come on. Come on. Slip now. Up and down. In out.
This is also everything she's saying.
Inside.
I know this whole thing.
This whole thing could.
Oh my God. Well, this is the most sexual movie by far.
It's true. This is
Like-
insane. Oh, that whole Tony scene, you could literally take that audio file, put it over any adult film.
Paul's like, how could I wear the least amount of clothes?
Oh my God,
possible?"
these green shorts are my favorite. I love them so much. Also, green's my favorite color, so I love everything about it.
All right, so now we've got of course they're sparring. Apollo's basically using Rocky as a punching bag, which is part of how Rocky fights. So Rocky is sparring how he fights here. And I always figured there was always a small part of Apollo that kind of likes hitting Rocky a little bit here. I think I don't know why. I always just felt like, yeah, he probably gets a little kick out of it.
I should be in your place.
Side to side. Move your head. Watch him now. Watch him. Right. Remember, he's got two hands, right? Damn, man, what the hell are you doing? This guy will knock you on your ass. Come on, Rock.
Now, again, we've talked about the acting in this film. This is great from Carl here. This is full of Paul. I love when Paul gets that kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll see it again with There Is No Tomorrow coming up. But that when he gets mad like that, I love that. And you mentioned, Katie, why does Carl take off a shirt here? I agree. He worked out very hard for this film. He's not fighting officially in this film. Of course, Rocky, Sly, he keeps his shirt on because the big reveal, of course, is more at the end for the final fight. But I love how Carl's like, you know what, man? Sorry, Sly. I've worked too hard on this body. I'm going shirtless for this scene because there's a scene coming up right after here where he's talking. I'll pause it. Carl just looks. His physique is fantastic.
It really is. It's phenomenal. Mm-hmm.
It's not a game. You want to live in the hospital for 5 weeks this time? You thought I was tough? This jump will kill you.
All
Come on,
right.
come on, get your head on your shoulders, man. Think about the fight.
So say it again.
I was just commenting. All Rocky says is all right. Like this, all
Well, he
right.
can't. He's not wrong. Yeah, but it's very all right. Yeah. So Paul goes back at okay. He's trying to psych him up, saying, "Man, this guy will knock you tomorrow. This guy will kill you. He's strong. He's fast. Let's go, Rock. Get your head in the game." So he goes back to the sparring again, and now Rocky's gonna get that PTSD of the fight that's gonna be in his head.
I was going to say something though before we continue. Rocky doesn't respond to this type of incursion. Like if you yell at him and shit all over him, he just withdraws. Like this is very reminiscent of Rocky 2. It's basically the same thing, really. Like it really like
Mhm.
his head's not in the right place, and he's training like a bum, and he's in a sparring session just like before. And then Mickey's like, "Are you sick, kid?" And Rocky's like, "I think I'm gonna go take a steam or a shower
Mhm.
or whatever." And then Mick's calling him like a no good loser, and you ought to be pumping gas in Jersey type of thing. And Rocky just shuts down. He doesn't say anything. And same thing with Apollo. Apollo's like yelling at him, and so he's like, "Okay."
Well, and Apollo is mirroring all the same things that Mickey tried to point out about and came true. I find
Mhm.
that interesting as well.
Yeah. Great comments again from Alistair. It says, great eye acting from Sly. He conveys emotion through his glances. Agreed. And Louise is Team Victor here. He says, Rocky 3 has the heart of the first two films with an 80s action pace. It's nonstop entertainment. Rocky 1 will always be the best film in the series, but Rocky 3 has become his favorite. So there you
Oh,
go. Another
I
favorite.
prefer it
Yeah.
over 2 and 4.
There you go. Wow. Some high accolades for Rocky 3, folks. There you go. Let us know where Rocky 3 falls into your ranking, everyone. I've always said there's never a wrong ranking. I've said that since I started this podcast, and rankings were, at the beginning when I did the podcast, a lot of rankings came up. Oh, Ryan, what's your rankings? Or I'd always say I don't really share it because I don't think there's a wrong or right one, meaning it's the Rocky franchise, like it's a franchise. It's a storyline. To me, it's like, what's your favorite chapter? To me, it's a great story. It's just a one story that has, if you count the Creed films, at least the first two, it's 8 chapters of the Rocky character. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the fight. Clubber Lang's and he's trying to hurt you, Rock. He's trying to hurt you. Okay, here he comes. Jab. He's jabbing. He's jabbing. He's trying to hurt you. You gotta fight him. You gotta move.
Not again, I'm taking a beating. He's up against the rope. He can't get out of the corner.
He's hooking. He's hooking. He's hooking.
All right, so that's the part there where Apollo, I think he's enjoying it just a little bit, like hitting him a little bit, but he's like, he's hooked you, he's hooked you, he's hooked you. And now I don't know if he's saying he's hooked you or he's hooking. I'm not too sure.
I think he's saying he's hooking. I think these captions are wrong.
Yeah, they're not always right. They're pretty good, but yeah, these are the DVD captions. But I think he's hooking. Yeah, I agree. Katie, please.
Well, I think some people might criticize this as overused or cheesy, but from the tactic of like in Rocky's, like showing us what Rocky is feeling or seeing, it's not Apollo hitting him, it's Clubber hitting him, and he hears the announcers. I really like it. Do you guys think what do you think?
Of him thinking of Clubber during this training?
Yeah, like us, like as a movie making ploy.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's just, again, showing us what's in Rocky. It was hinted at when he was on the hotel bed. Now we're seeing it again as he's being sparred with it. They're spelling it out for you, but to the audience, we're seeing that Rocky is not over the loss. All he sees is Clubber knocking the crap out of him. So he can't, he's got to break out of that. And we're going to learn reason later. It's not about that he lost the fight. He has Frankie Fear right now. It's not, he has Frankie Fear not in his corner. He hasn't used it properly yet, but he'll figure it out, which is another conversation about part 5, which doesn't make sense because Mickey told him about Frankie Fear apparently when he talks to Tommy, but I guess he doesn't apply it here in Rocky 3 because Mickey's now dead, but he applies this. Yeah, it's weird. Okay. We'll get to that in Rocky 5. Okay. So Alistair says Rocky 3 was my gateway into the Rocky series. After watching this film, I realized why Stallone was a big star because of the Rocky films. I'll forgive many of the bad movie Sly's made sense. Yeah, that's just it. You become a Sly fan because of Rambo and Rocky, and then it's like, yeah, all right. So he gives you Stopper, My Mum Will Shoot, but we love Sly. So
I liked that movie as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I I don't remember anything about it at all. But
Just
like, I
leave it.
can,
Leave it in your memories. Leave it in your memories.
yeah, I just remember laughing at it when I was like 5 or 6 or whenever it came
Sure.
out.
There you go. Sure. Yeah. Allow that memory to remain
Yeah,
pleasant.
just keep it. Oh, I almost kind of want to hate watch it now because I'm not a huge Sly fan, right? Like I'm a Rocky fan.
Yeah.
So like if Sly screws up a movie, I don't care. It's fine with me.
I also really like Oscar. It's one that gets kind of a bad rap, but I really like it. Ryan's like, he can't process that information.
Yeah. Well, we talked about. We gave a
I
review of that.
know.
Check it
I
out.
know.
Yeah.
So Rocky 3, according to Alistair, is the gateway drug. It's the
There you go.
marijuana, the Rocky.
Well, it
drug.
is for him because he's at that age. For me, it was Rocky 4. I think that people's like fondest favorite movie is whatever your gateway drug.
So Rocky 3 is the first one I remember. It wasn't the first. I think I saw the first 2 before 3 came out. I'm kind of that old enough. But it's the first one I remember because when it came out, it was 7 or 8. So I totally remember the action sequences and everything like everyone talks about. So it's the first memory, the Hogan fight, all that stuff. But yeah, I'll leave it. I'm not going to give my ranking right now. Okay. All right.
Damn, Ron, come on!
There's his body right there, Kitty. There you go. See?
Mm-hmm.
What's the matter with you?
Right there. That pose right there. Look how big he is. Carl's huge. I think he's bigger than Sly here.
Oh, he's for sure bigger than Sly. I'm not one for bulk. I could do without the bulk, which is why I like Rocky's body
Right.
a lot.
Yeah, like
But
Carl Weathers is like 6'2", maybe 6'3". Like
he's
he's not
huge here.
short.
Yeah.
Sly is his height. His height is a industry secret. No one really knows what it is.
Yeah.
But
5'8".
it's not that. Like yeah, it's like 5'8", maybe 5'9". And like yeah, Apollo's bulkier. So yeah, he's way bigger than Rocky here.
Yeah, I didn't mean to say it's just like yeah. I mean, obviously he's bigger, but it's just like noticeably he's bigger in this because he didn't seem that much bigger in 2 and 1, but he's huger now. Or huger. He's much bigger now than he was in the first 2 films. He's totally bulked
Well,
up.
when was Predator? What year did that come out?
87.
Oh, it was that late?
Yeah.
Okay,
It was
never
after
mind.
Rocky 4.
Okay.
Yeah, and like Weathers is kind of like Ali in the sense that Ali was big. Like he was 6'3", like 215, 220, but he moved like a middleweight. Like the way he was fast and he could move around the ring just like Apollo does. And that's rare, right? Like to have size and speed is incredibly dangerous.
All right, so here comes the classic line coming up here, and I've got a story to share about that line.
Tomorrow. Let's do it tomorrow.
There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow.
Okay, so of course, classic moment, classic line, and when I first started the podcast, well, it's about I don't know how many years, 4 or 5 years ago, when I was still doing the Going the Distance podcast, I tagged Carl Weathers in a post on Twitter, and I said, "Why, Mike? You're gonna get the joke when I say the question, but I tagged him in it, and he retweeted it. I said, why doesn't why doesn't Apollo Creed have a calendar? Because there is no tomorrow."
I
Good.
so hard when I saw that. I remember when that came out and when he retweeted it. That is a legitimately really, really good joke.
Well,
It
thank you
is,
very much.
and Carl, I feel like you should talk about that more, Ryan. Carl, you should try and get Carl on.
I no, it won't. Yeah, you can't. He won't. I don't know.
But it's pretty impressive.
It's
that he
hard.
retweeted.
Yeah,
your tweet.
it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool that he did that. Yeah. He's an interesting character to say the least. Okay.
There is no tomorrow.
The classic scene there. Of course, everyone listening knows the scene. You know, Rocky pounds the mirror a little bit, or looks into his eyes. Have you ever done that? You look in your eyes in the mirror. I've done that to psych myself up. Like, Ryan, you've got this. I've got a new job right now. I'm doing for a little bit. I'm like, Ryan, you're not an idiot. You've got this. You can do this. I've done it. I do it. You have to sometimes talk to yourself or look yourself in the eyes. I do it. Have you ever truly looked at yourself in the eyes?
I don't think I
In the
have.
mirror? Oh, I guess I do it. I do it a lot. I actually have conversations with myself in the mirror.
So
I talk to myself.
Is it because of Rocky? Do you think? Like,
No, I don't think so. I actually don't think. I just thought everyone did that.
mm.
Okay, I'm weird.
Well, I mean, subconsciously, you're like, oh, Rocky does it. Everyone does. You know, I don't know.
But I verbalize. I'll say stuff like, "Okay, Ryan, you've got this. Just don't worry about X, Y, Z. You can take care of it. You can do this." Yeah, I've psyched myself up in the mirror. I don't know.
That's awesome.
So the classic beach scene coming up now.
That you got to remember. We got to get some speed. We got to get some flexibility. You got to get some.
Poor Rocky. He keeps hearing about speed. Part 2, you got to get speed. Grease lightning speed. Part 3, he's got to get speed. He says you got to get some flexibility. You got to get some quickness. Poor Rocky. You're just a slug.
I mean, the shirt.
Okay.
You guys.
Sorry. I was talking about the dialogue, but yeah, let's talk about. You're right. The cutoff shirt.
No, you're right. I'm just like unnecessary to the conversation, other than to point out how they look. But I mean, what is the point of that shirt? Why wear one at all?
To bring attention to the midsection.
I think so. You're right. There's very little clothing value. It's odd. The cutoff shirt was an odd choice of the 80s. It was big in the 80s. Guys wore, and girls go for it, because I would love to look at your bellies all day. So to me, I guess that's the male version of. I honestly, because men love looking at girls' belly buttons. I'm not going to lie to you. So maybe that's just the male version of that, but you don't see it at all anymore. You don't see mostly. You don't see.
It makes sense on women because you have to wear something. You know what I mean? Like that. I get
to cover. Yeah, I guess.
I think maybe Apollo's wife wanted like some rags for the kitchen, and you just cut the bottom of the shirt and you can cut it into squares, and now you have like cleaning rags.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he gets the rest of the shirt still. Like the Creeds didn't get rich by being stupid with their money. Yeah, you got to save where you can.
They didn't have Paulie fill out some tax forms.
Paulie's not guilty. I will fight this to the end. We'll get to this in Rocky 5.
Yeah.
Also,
I feel bad for Paulie.
I do. I kind of do too. Rocky, his tank top is tucked in to his shorts as well. I feel like that's not a thing that athletes do when they're running on the beach, but I could be wrong. Yeah.
No, I think it's just, I don't know I don't even know what styles are today. I'm bad when it comes. So for all I know, this was just the styles back in '82. I don't know. Definitely they were definitely curious for each other. That's for sure. They're just more and more curious, and it will climax later on the next episode. Okay.
Quickness. Understand? Quickness, endurance. That's the only thing we got to concern ourselves with, Rocky. All right?
Ricky never had me do this.
That's what I put on my thing.
That's not true.
Right. You're right.
Apollo has mentioned 100 times quickness. You need grease, lightning, speed. And so either Rocky just forgets his training with Mickey altogether, or anyways.
He's like, hey, asshole, maybe there's no beaches in Philly. Sure, he didn't take you down to the Jersey Shore so you could run there. Like, what are you talking about?
He ran along the river. Right?
Yeah, he ran along the docks. He was pulling Mickey in that bicycle thing or whatever. So he's definitely run outside. Granted, he's never run. So what is he saying? Mickey's never made me run on the beach. And also, you're not going to do a foot race with Mickey either.
That would have been funny.
So I guess, but it's an odd thing for Rocky to say at this point. So is he saying the training that he's doing in general, the beach running scene, he never made me do this, or to get speed? Because that's not true either. It's just, I don't know.
Well, yeah, it sort of doesn't make sense, but I think the focus on rhythm.
Is that what he's referring to? Just the style of training?
Yeah.
The style?
I don't know.
Okay. But poor Apollo, I feel bad for him. He's like, oh my gosh, I've done all this work for you, and now you're bringing up your dead trainers. Like, because Paul's response is about all you can do. He just goes,
right.
I'm not your dead trainer.
From a parenting perspective, though, it's like when your kid isn't motivated to do schoolwork, or like is struggling to learn to ride their bike or something like that. It's kind of a similar frustration I think that Apollo's having right now. Like, you just kind of want to beat it into their heads where you're like, what are you doing? Like, focus, do this, do that. But it's like, if their mind's on it, I forget about it.
So Luis just think that Rocky is specifically referring to the short distance running, like that specific part of it, which is still an odd, like, it's still like, okay, Rocky, like, but you're not an idiot. You realize that I'm training you differently. That's the whole point while we're working together. It's odd that you would bring up that Mickey. Yeah, that's why I'm doing this. One, your trainer's dead, and two, we've been training differently with the pool. It seems odd that this is the thing he mentions that Mickey never made me do. That's
he should have mentioned it when they swim.
Sure.
He should have been like, okay, Rocky, if you do this, I'll let you hit some meat on the way home. Go to the slaughterhouse on the way home.
Uh-huh.
You could punch some sides of beef for old time's sake. We gotta do this
no
first,
kidding.
okay?
Yeah, you remember when he hits a beef in the freezer? Sorry that running on the beach is weird.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Ready?
Now they're gonna do the foot race. I just want you to watch the end. I don't know why. I just love how graceful. Because remember, Carl Weathers was a football player, so he's an athlete through and through. He played for the NFL and the CFL, and I love the way like short briefs with each, but I just love the way he finishes his run. It's a very athletic way of running. It's hard to explain, but the way he kind of ends his run, you can tell he's a natural athlete. If you were to watch me sprint and end my run, I would look like a
Yeah,
I don't run like an athlete. There's running like an athlete look, and there's running like a like Ryan look.
I agree. It's like an effortless grace
Yes,
that he
that's
has.
right. So let's check it out here. So I love how everyone's watching the race, so to speak, to see how it pans out. So Paul's trying to encourage him to go along. But you see, you can just tell the way Carl runs. It's a very athletic way of running. And I will say this part here, Sly looks really, really good. His hair is not very poofy. It's long. It's got the first blood length here. I can't remember which one was filmed first, but it definitely has that first blood length right here. So this might have been close to the filming of First Blood.
Well, it's definitely
really long.
shorter.
Look how long it is in the back, though. Is he growing it for First Blood at this point here?
No, I think he did.
Look how long it is.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I think it's just the way the wind is blowing it.
But that's long. It's a lot of length. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He had that length in First Blood, so I would just somebody Google which one was filmed first, but probably First Blood was filmed before.
Well, they don't. I like we'll get to it when there's like a close-up shot of their legs and stuff.
Well, that's for the next training sequence. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so we'll finish the run here. Watch Carl's graceful exit.
Come on.
I love that slow motion of Adrian. Come on, Rocky.
Yeah, you ain't been hungry since you won that belt.
So he's still getting out.
Get it tomorrow.
So now we're totally seeing, of course, inside Rocky's head, Mickey's voice. You can't win. He'll knock you tomorrow. He's losing the fight to Clubber. I love how we get the heartbeat and the guttural yell of Mickey's death. It's all in his head right now. Mickey's death. Everything's in his head.
If we had sponsors, this is where we'd stop and this is Rocky should have used getbetterhelp.com or whatever.
That's right. That's
therapy.
right.
In addition to Nike.
Yeah, exactly. So we should BetterHelp, if you're listening, sponsor the show. We could shoehorn you into scenes where characters getting therapy would be good. Rocky probably should have had some talk therapy, but this is his way of doing things, and we respect that.
I think so. I also said First Blood was 81. This was 82. I thought both were released in 82. Am I wrong about that? Just somebody I wish there was some sort of machine people could use to Google. I just can't Google while I'm recording. I do like this sequence here where we see Mickey being put in. So Mickey was not in the urn. He was in a coffin. See, he's being placed inside. I thought for some reason he was burnt, but he's a little body in there.
I believe Katie and I always thought that his body was there. We had this conversation.
During
the funeral.
My apologies.
Yeah, agreed. And First Blood was released October 22nd, 1982. So October 22nd, and Rocky 3. Well, just because they're the Rocky
I know
3,
they can be filmed at different times, but right.
Rocky 3 was released.
Go ahead. Sorry.
May of 82. So Rocky 3 came out first.
Now, and I think there was probably more delays with the First Blood film. I got a feeling First Blood was filmed first, but there was a lot of the editing issues and stuff, a lot of history on that. Stand by for my Rambo episode. The next episode we cover, we are going to give we have a tease. We have somebody, I'll tease this. Our next Rambo episode, we have some background gossip regarding the First Blood film. So from a reliable source, I can't say who, but they said I could share the story. Yeah.
Cool.
Was it like, how the movie Turning Red was about getting your period for the first time?
Yeah, it's something along that
First
line.
Blood was like kind of the same thing.
I think I already made that joke. I swear I've made that joke somewhere in my many episodes of podcasts. I did say First Blood. I forget the context now, but I made that joke that was yes. It was Rocky being a single dad or something with his daughter called First Blood. I don't know. I can't remember the joke now. Okay. So I do like how we have the little funeral sequence there of Rocky putting Mickey's coffin in there. That was filmed for this flashback because everything else is kind of a flashback from the fight that Rocky had in the ring with a different color tone and slow motion. But I like how that sequence there was filmed for this is going to be used for the flashback when you're running on the beach.
Now, I don't mind these flashbacks because it's really for the audience sake. But if you're going to get technical, I actually preferred the flashbacks when he was in the ring with Apollo because the flashback was from Rocky's point of view. Like you just see Clubber throwing punches at you. Where this flashback is actually from Clubber's point of view, which Rocky wouldn't be thinking of.
I think wasn't there. Yeah, that's true. Again, it's us as the audience seeing.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm saying, I don't mind this flashback. It's totally fine. But
you're right.
Now that I'm in critical mode, where I'm just looking at things really critically, that is something I notice.
Or Rocky's just existential. He's able to see outside of himself.
Yeah, he's up here looking down on his body.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That is possible, actually.
Well, that's how I am. That's why I talk to myself in the mirror. I see myself outside myself. I exist. My whole life has been that way, where I'm always seeing how others see me. It's a whole other discussion. So this is, of course, that was filmed too with Rocky or Sly falling to the canvas. That was for this flashback sequence. That slow motion falling, same that Apollo does for part 4.
I think the intercutting of I really like it. I don't know if I'm basic or what, but I really like it.
No, that's great. It's great. No, the music, the cue, the different color intonation. It's fantastic. And as Rocky slows down, Sly is a master editor. I think we don't give him enough credit. He's really able to edit this kind of stuff together. He loves to do this kind of stuff. This is all Sly. Whoever is claimed to be the editor, it's the secondary editing. It's whoever's at the control. I'm telling you right now, Sly edited the film with somebody else at the keys. That's all I'm saying. Sly might not be working the equipment, so the editor might be the actual person, quote unquote, physically editing the film, but it's Sly giving the direction through and through. Absolutely, every scene here is Sly's editing. Right there. See how Apollo runs at the end there? I just love that. I don't know why. The way he stops is very athletic. He runs through that flag.
Yep.
So what they're seeing, of course, is that fine, Rocky lost the race, but it's not that he lost the race, he stopped. That's what they're kind of upset about. Like, that's why Apollo's mad. Not that Rocky didn't beat Apollo. I don't think Apollo is suspected to be beaten by Rocky. It's the fact that Rocky stopped.
Yes.
What's the matter?
It's over. It's all over.
That shot there, the slow motion shot of Rocky, that's just great. You know what? I think we'll have enough time. We'll do is maybe do this scene with Adrian that can start the next episode, because right after that is the training sequence, and those usually don't take too long because that is an episode within itself. Or what do you guys think? Should we do this and just have the training sequence for the next episode? Because the next episode is just it's the training sequence.
Yeah, let's just stop here. I think
okay,
this is good.
Okay, agreed. Okay.
To the listeners, don't worry. Things are going to get better for Rocky. I promise. You have.
Are they? Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. Alistair brings up very good point here. Sly is the king of the flashback and the montage. Yeah, if he didn't create it, he certainly perfected it.
Yeah.
And Louise says this show has more of a Blue Chew vibe than a Better Help one.
I don't get that. What's Blue Chew?
Oh, Blue Chew is for it's like I think it's a gum version for Viagra or something like that.
Yeah. Also, I can't help. All my comments are about people's like outfits, and I love Polly has a Hawaiian shirt on, which is so Polly. Polly had a Hawaiian shirt on.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
Rocky, not only is he really cut, like I know we've commented on how vastly different he looks from Rocky 2 to Rocky 3, but he's also super tan.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Like he's a different color.
Katie, you're like objectifying him.
Yeah, would you stop that, please? Can you stop? I don't
No,
appreciate
nope, I will not. Will not, can't not.
that. Do I have to go back to Adrian's night slip scene to balance out this episode?
Yeah, sorry,
No, this is-
but
this-
you
no,
guys
this is
have to
great.
like again, like yeah, I can appreciate when a woman looks really
Of course
beautiful.
you can. No, I think men have been, well, I mean, anyone who's not, I hate to say this, who's not a prude or easily offended, no, appreciating the beauty of the human physique is why we're humans. You can look at something and say that is a well put together thing. Some people are, some people aren't. It's just the way it goes. And Sly and Apollo and we're never talking about Polly's body.
He's not a perfect specimen.
No, we all have different characteristics. It's fine. And definitely within these films, especially in the 80s, it was about the physique. It was the muscle men movies. We loved it. Adrian's scene, the next scene, according to Elser, is Talia's best in the series. I agree with the close second is when Talia's yelling at Rocky in the street, Rocky 5. Another underscored or undervalued scene is when, you're losing your son, give it to your son. When she does that plea to Rocky, I love that. Okay. A lot of great
she's
stuff.
The best. I
Agreed.
don't have really anything negative to say about Talia.
No.
Oh,
no, she's a
really
wonderful,
great.
lovely
She's
woman. She's lovely.
Luis
Last-
he's inquiring what year. Whenever I say I always say like circa mid 80s. If I had to say a year,
Well, answer the question. Ask the question. You got to say what the question is. People don't see the question.
Oh, you put it up. Yes. So he asks, what year / version is peak Sly? And I usually say just mid 80s, but I would say 85. Still, yeah, I would say 85.
I think one of the greatest sins that happened in this film series, again, we'll get to in part 5, was Sly had an incredible build in part 5 that we never got to see. You saw it briefly in the naked nude shower, but his physique was amazing in that film. We get hints of it, but we never see him shirtless in that film, and it's unfortunate because other than the naked shower scene on the side, but it's just a side view in the dark. Because he had an amazing physique in that film. Again, he should have been in that movie. That movie should end in the ring. Okay. All right. That's it for this episode. Thank you, everyone who joined us and watched us live. We had some people popping in and out, but we had a good audience. Just check out the show notes how you can watch us live. So basically, join our Facebook or join our Discord, join our Twitch. Because in Facebook and Discord, you'll end up even on our Twitter. You get the announcement when we go live, so you'll see those announcements and you can join us live. But usually, it's every second Sunday at about what day is it? About noonish. It's gonna be about noonish on New York City time, Eastern time. So, but anyways, that's when we try to do it. Well, Katie, you weren't here last episode, so this episode is over.
I didn't hear no bell.